Today, White House Special Envoy Steve Witkoff set to meet with his Russian counterpart in Miami as President Trump's push to end the war in Ukraine intensifies. Trump imposing a new round of sanctions on Russia and scrapping plans for a summit with Putin in Budapest after Moscow rejected his call for an immediate ceasefire. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Zelenskyy in London meeting with European leaders discussing security guarantees, air defenses, and longer-range missiles to counter Russia's daily strikes. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill also weighing a new package of penalties against Moscow. But analysts warn against overstating how much impact sanctions can actually achieve. Joining me now to discuss, Senior Research Fellow of Naval Warfare and Advanced Technology at the Allison Center for National Security, Brent Sadler. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. Special Envoy Witkoff meeting with Putin's economic advisor as Zelenskyy meets with EU leaders. This is what the NATO Secretary General said this week about where things stand.
When it comes to Ukraine, the president deciding to send weapons again to Ukraine, but paid for by allies. We are working very hard on that project. The first couple of billion of weapons already shipped into Ukraine from the US, paid for by allies. And of course, Europeans stepping up when it comes to security assurances for Ukraine post a long-term ceasefire or peace deal. But of course, we all pray for that to happen soon.
So based on what we just heard, do you think that Europe is preparing for a post-war Ukraine, or does it expect that this conflict is going to keep going? And what can Europe do to really improve Ukraine's defense?
Well, thanks for having me on. I think the first and most urgent thing is you're already seeing the EU or European nations pay for the weapons from the United States Army. We are in some cases short supply, so that's added money to help restock our armory, as you would say. But I think the economic aspect of this and the sanctions specifically against China and India by themselves won't be enough. We've seen that Putin does respond to the threat of secondary sanctions. He does respond to the threat of long-range strike weapons like the Tomahawks, but by themselves, it's not really been enough. So I think we're going to need to see both to really compel Putin to come to the table in a meaningful way. The Europeans are tentatively making some very good steps, but it's going to take more.
Right. So meanwhile, Trump just hit Russia's top oil companies with sanctions. Take a listen to what he said about that just this week.
Look, these are tremendous sanctions. These are very big. Those are against their two big oil companies. And we hope that they won't be on for long. We hope that the war will be settled.
Okay, so most of Moscow's money, though, comes from taxes, not exports. So will this move actually hurt Russia's war funding?
Well, it's one question is, why are we doing this now, going into almost 4 years into the war? So no real pressure has necessarily been put onto them. And quite frankly, the Chinese, as a neighbor, are able to actually, through barter trade, to move quite a lot of material, industrial equipment, and even with their own finance system, they have their own equivalency to the SWIFTs to move, liquid funds between. So until a cost is imposed on Beijing, it's really not going to make much of a difference on what material and financing gets into Russia. The final piece of this with the oil, it really goes further to how Russia gets the oil to market, and it's the dark fleet. And more needs to be done on going after that also.
Interesting. Okay, so turning now to Gaza. In an interview this week, Trump warned Israel could lose U.S. support if it annexes the West Bank. So how serious is that threat, and what would be the implications there?
Well, I'm not sure how serious any threats of annexing the Gaza are. The plan actually talks about rebuilding Gaza under the tutelage or the supervision of a coalition of nations, or a board headed with President Trump sitting at the head of it, to make sure American interests, security interests, as well as our ally in Israel, are addressed. But at the same time, nurturing and developing out, I think, a more responsible government for the Palestinian peoples to go forward. So early stages, I think the first place where we're at right now is disarm Hamas, get them out of Gaza. How we get there is going to be not a straight line.
All right. Navy veteran Brent Sadler, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.